In today's video, we're going to present a challenge to us and perhaps a challenge for you if you go on a cruise to Iceland, as we did. So we recently spent a day each in two amazing little towns in Iceland, Djupivogur and Grundarfjordur. I know, as I go through this video, just please, bear with me, or maybe I'll just start referring to them as the G town and the D town. Anyway, we didn't choose these places for any particular reason. We didn't say, oh, wow, we heard about them and they're really full of beautiful, waterfalls or scenery or whatever. They are, and they just happen to be. But the only reason we went to these places is because they were stops on a cruise ship, and that's the way a lot of people are going to visit Iceland anyway. So if you're going to be going on a cruise and these two towns, the D town and the G town, they'll probably be on your itinerary. So what we're going to do here is compare the two of them so that before you go, you'll kind of know what to expect and the kind of the things that you can enjoy there. Okay, so let's take the first one, Djupivogur. Djupivogur.
I would like to buy a hamburger.
I would like to buy a hamburger.
Djupivogur has its own charm. It has only about 500 people, so it's not a very big town. It has a picturesque harbor. It has a very serene kind of atmosphere, whereas Grundarfjordur, the G town, has a little bit more scenery around it, and it has a mountain. Now, in some parts of the world, you probably wouldn't call this a mountain, but it's a projection. It's an earthly projection, let's call it that, called Kirkjufell Mountain, and it's kind of cool. It reminds you of a fairy tale mountain. The biggest difference in these two towns is their location. Djupivogur is on the east coast, while Grundarfjordur is on the west coast of Iceland, and it's relatively close to Reykjavik. Grundarfjordur is a little bit bigger. It's got about 900 people or so it's not that much bigger than the other town, but it kind of gives you an idea. When you get a cruise ship of 1,200 people or so coming in, it kind of inundates these little towns, but it's still enjoyable. The cruise season, runs from about May to September, and at the height of the season, there's no more than about 10 ships a month that come into these places, and fortunately, they only get like one at a time, so it's not, a big body crush in these little towns, but still, everyone in town will know you're there. There's no question about that. You can't quite sort of try to blend in and act like you really belong there. Well, no, you don't. You're a visitor. Well, this morning, Tanya, we're in Djupivogur. So, Tanya, one of the things that Djupivogur is famous for is that it has the highest ever recorded temperature in Iceland. And at one time in June of 1939, it got up to 87 degrees here.
Oh my goodness.
Unbelievable. And today it's a little breezy, but it's it's probably 60? Maybe not
like
quite?
54.
Oh, 54. Wow, you're really precise. Good for you. What's that in Celsius, Tanya? Mm-hmm. Yeah, not sure. Well, this is Djupivogur. I don't know where all the bustling is coming from. We must not have found it yet, Tanya. There must be some bustle somewhere. There's some kids down there playing football, so that's good. There are some people here. And I see a fire station up here.
Oh.
Yeah. As we walk around here in Djupivogur, it kind of reminds me of Ely, Nevada. I mean, if you look up here, you got rocks. Actually, the houses are a little nicer here than in Ely, but not a bad place. Here's another potential retirement haven for you. If you really want to get away from it all, come to Iceland. I don't know what it's like in the wintertime.
Born of cold and winter air and
Well, what happened, Tanya, was one day there was a giant pterodactyl that came over from across the mountain over here and laid some of these incredible thunderstones or thunder rocks, thunder eggs, whatever, we used to call them in Oregon anyway, but it's where dinosaurs are. And so anyway, this is Anis Penelope is the name of this particular one. They named them. That was very clever. So someday when something major happens, maybe it'll be another eruption or something, these pterodactyl eggs will miraculously hatch and the world as we know it will come to an end. Huh?
You're making that up.
No, this is true, Tanya. I don't know. I don't make things up. Yeah. And so, Tanya, we leave Djupivogur.
Where?
Djupivogur in our rear view mirror. The thing that sets Grundarfjordur apart from its neighbor, its other town, is of course its setting. You got waterfalls, Icelandic horses, which you could go ride if you want to, and of course that spectacular mountain peak. There's also some cute little cafes you can drop in and have some pastries and coffee if you like. Tanya, another exciting racing day in Iceland, and today we are in Grundarfjordur.
Where?
Grundarfjordur.
Greenland?
No, Iceland. Grundarfjordur.
That's an interesting pronunciation.
Which I think means green fjord.
Brilliant.
I don't know that. But I bet you it means that here in Grundarfjordur. But they have lots of, it is green as you can see behind us. And you see over here, all these folks are coming in off of the ship on the tender. And it really is a beautiful place. And actually when we woke up this morning, it was quite lovely. Now it seems to be not quite so lovely, but there is no such thing as bad weather. There's only inappropriate clothing. As we say, this is really cool. There's a fish processing place over here, and you can see all of these fish boxes. So the catches come in, and these seagulls are just having themselves a time. Look at this. This is just, whoa! Gotta chase them away. Oh, and they're pushing the the fish boxes over there. And these seagulls are really well fed. This is the place. There is nothing lightweight about these guys.
There's no stupid seagulls.
No stupid seagulls, says one of my fellow travelers here. Okay, off we go. We're taking a stroll down one of the streets here in Grundarfjordur. Tanya, it kind of reminds me, how about you, of when we were in Norway not too long ago, and we took the
mailboat.
The Norway Coastal Express all the way up the coast of Norway, and some of these little towns. When I say Grundarfjordur, I guess if I was talking to an Icelander, they'd probably wonder why I was saying it so funny. Why do you talk like that? Well, because I don't know any better. The Icelandic language is really interesting. I don't know enough about it. I know the basis of it is Norwegian, but of course they made it their own after those Norwegian settlers came in 800, 900 AD. What you'll see when you come to Iceland is a number of vehicles that I think are used to go out onto glaciers. And usually they're these really cool Mercedes-Benz sort of monster vehicles. This one, however, looks like it was an old Chevrolet van of something that they've modified, and it works. So it's got high clearance here, and I don't know that it's been used for a while, but they put windows in here so you can go out there and take a look at stuff. Not just glacier, but anything else. Yeah, this looks like something we'd see in East Tennessee where we live. Although those would be just the, kind of the regular vehicle that you take to Walmart. And then in contrast to the glacier mobiles, you've got these little Iceland things that are really wild. This is a low terrain vehicle. Here's a highlight in Grundarfjordur. You can take this bus to the Shark Museum, come and taste the shark and see how it's made. I don't know. Tanya, how would you think sharks are made? Well, I think I know how they're made, and then they become a baby shark. Baby shark. Grundarfjordur, I mean, really is an active little place. And it may seem kind of sterile to you if you're, huh?
I bet you can get a beer over there.
Yeah, looks like a beer place over there that's open. Looks like it's in the middle of a, industrial building, but there's a lot going on here. I think mostly centered on fish, which would certainly make sense. Tanya and I aren't really sure what this thing is that says open. I think it's a rock museum. No, it's
carving.
Oh, it's carving. Yeah, it's not a bar at all. Although, you could probably find some alcohol in there if you want. That's what we need to do, is bring back some rocks in our...
Do you see those over there? How cool.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And here's what they've done with them. They've made lots of cool Icelandic carvings out of them. Yeah. So these are kind of cool. I mean, you could have them outside your house, or actually a lot of these things inside your house. It's kind of unique Icelandic art. But unfortunately, not the kind of thing, if you were on a cruise, as we are, that probably wouldn't be a very practical thing to try and take home with you. You probably wouldn't ship it by air. Over here to the side, you can see the fjord, part of the fjord, as it comes in here. And we had a very interesting explanation to a question yesterday from our tour guide, didn't we, Tanya? And some person on our little tour asked, how come you didn't see any recreation boats out on the waterways, the different lakes and things? And it was a fascinating answer, wasn't it, Tanya?
It was fascinating.
Yeah.
It was a long answer.
It was a very long answer.
That gave us lots of information about the culture.
Yes, and she was saying that because life is so hard here, everything is a struggle. And to be in a pleasure boat out in the water is
You're not working, and your family's going to starve.
That's right. It's incomprehensible. If you're out there just floating around a boat, it means that, there's something wrong. You're not working for your family. You're not going to be able to survive. You're not going to be able to have enough to put on their plates at night. And it was the same thing. We went to another place, Tanya, where it was a hot spring, because there's lots of course, geothermal activity. It was called the Secret Lagoon, not the Blue Lagoon, which is another interesting thing. Everyone wants to go, we'll go to Iceland, let's go to the Blue Lagoon. It's all bogus. The Blue Lagoon was, of course, it keeps changing where it is. There are many locations for, quote, Blue Lagoon. And they're all man-made. They're all just these, big ponds that are sort of excavated so that the water can come in there. And they are basically all for tourists. That's the whole thing. So you say, oh man, I went to the Blue Lagoon. Isn't that cool? Well, we went to the Secret Lagoon yesterday that was built like in 1890, I think, and then restored in 1940. And not much has been done to it since. And it's where all the local people go, and it's fed by these hot springs that are right next door. And someone asked, well, how can you justify the fact that Icelanders don't do anything for entertainment or enjoyment, because then they're slackers? Well, how can you justify going to this hot spring? And the answer was, it was to teach the farmers how to swim. Well, I thought, they're farmers. Why do they need to know how to swim? Anyway, so it didn't make sense. So we figured out what the deal was, that they couldn't just go there for fun and to relax. So they had to be there for a purpose. So the purpose was, to learn how to swim. And then it was justified because you actually were doing something. Another interesting thing about Iceland is the agriculture. And so as we were driving along and going through the interior of Iceland, we noticed all these fields, but there were no real crops. The crops are grass, and the farmers mow the grass and they bundle up into hay bales, big round hay bales for the wintertime. And the grass is to feed the livestock. So they either have horses, sheep, or cattle in some places. And that's it for crops, because basically nothing else really grows here. There are some types of really hardy rye and barley, I guess, but those again are mostly used for feed. I would imagine some is used for the brewing of beer, because they do have Icelandic beer here. But you know, they're talking about cases where farmers had put their heart and soul into trying to grow something different than that, and one big storm just wipes it all out, and they're finished. So with global warming and climate change, it should be interesting to see what happens to agriculture in places like Iceland. I would think that in the future you should be able to grow more crops. Of course, you always have terrible weather that could still ruin them. And also there's a lot of greenhouses growing, you know, tomatoes and things like that. I have to tell you though, and I think Tanya would agree with me, is that for all of the kind of starkness of Iceland, the remoteness, the weather, it has a certain beauty to it. Don't you think? As we were talking about yesterday, we're going to be here on this particular trip for about another week and a half, and we thought, well, okay, would we come back to Iceland? I think we would. I don't think we do it on a cruise ship where you just sort of plop yourself in and then you're out, but I think we would do it some different kind of way where we can, you know, talk to people a lot more, get a better feel for the life here, and kind of get into the rhythm of it. I think they're very, what we've seen, they're very warm people. They're very nice. They're happy to have you here, and they're very proud. That's for sure. Very proud of themselves. And another interesting thing is they're not necessarily Christians. Of course, there are a lot of Christians here, and the Lutheran Church is the predominant church, but a lot of them are pagans, and they're proud of that. And it's very interesting to talk to them about some of the pagan beliefs. And I don't know much about paganism, but it has similarities to, you know, animism, spiritual beliefs of Native American tribes, where their spirits exist in different forms, in different elements. So we're taking a little bit of a walk out of town to go look at a waterfall. And if you look over here, we've got some Icelandic horses. And these cats are they're smart. They're smart. When the wind blows, they face away from the wind. So their backside is facing the wind. Pretty smart. So Tanya, one of the other reasons we found out yesterday why there aren't lots of pleasure craft or ships at all, small craft, in Iceland waters is because they don't have any way to build them. There were no trees here. The trees that were in Iceland, they call it forested, but it was just this, you know, these kind of scrub. What species were they? Remember, birch. They were birch, but they were like birch bushes. They weren't like birch trees, and they couldn't make ships out of them, or boats. So this is not a, a shipbuilding society here. Now, obviously, they got boats from other places and did lots of fishing then later, but you had to wait for those Vikings to come from Norway with their Viking boats. Yep. So there you have the comparison between these two very cool towns in Iceland. Personally, we preferred Grundarfjordur. No particular reason. It seemed a little bit more open, and I don't know. It just, we walked around and saw the waterfall, and so it was. We just liked it a little bit better. But either one is fine. You'll enjoy it. You won't be disappointed with visiting either of them, both of them. Each have their own charm. So enjoy your trip to Iceland. Enjoy these two towns. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.